right, to start off here, I just wanted to show the end product of what we'll be building today in this video. Basically, I picked up a Smith & Wesson Model 329 PD 44 mag for Western hunting, and nobody that I could find made a holster to my liking. I wanted a holster that retained the pistol really nicely. I wanted one that fit onto your hip belt of your pack, and one that could easily be transferred to your belt if you dumped your pack. I talked to a couple different companies. Nobody really seemed all that interested in making one. I'm assuming because of the complexity and the amount of blocking that is needed while constructing this holster. If you don't get that right, then the gun wants to stay in the holster. And this video steps through step by step the process of blocking this out and making the holster. I did source almost all of my stuff from knifekits.com, and these are the products you can see right here that I did purchase from them. This first step that I'm showing you here is the process of blocking this gun out so that the holster will not retain the gun too strongly. As you can see, there's all kinds of nooks and crannies on this gun. Right next to my finger here, there's a little piece of metal that if it's not blocked out, it will snag the rigid harness that we're making, or holster, and it won't let the gun easily pull out. Now, the whole idea of this is to have some retention on the gun, but not too much. And what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting out little thin pieces of balsa wood, I believe it is, maybe 16th inch, and I'm just laminating them together in a way that will let it key into the gun. Like this right here is gonna connect right into the trigger guard, and it'll block out part of that trigger guard. This shot just shows the piece from before flipped upside down and resting against the trigger, inside the trigger guard. And right here is where I'm blocking out that tiny little tab of metal that will hold the gun in the holster if it's not smooth through there. Here I moved on to the little void area where the rod is that ejects shells. I just used a single layer of wood to block that area out. From here, I flipped the gun over and I started filling in the trigger guard on the other side of the trigger, simply with adding layers. And then to secure it in place, I just taped it into place. As you can see here, I started sanding by the trigger here and contouring this a little bit. It's mainly just for aesthetics, but I do think that it will help with how I'm using this trigger guard area as the focal point for my retention. Later, a screw will be added to the holster likely that will have a rubber O-ring inside of it. This will, by screwing it in or out, will allow me to adjust the tension on that holster and dial in how I want the gun to be retained. Now, looking at this angle, all I'm doing here is filling in between the pistol grip and the trigger guard, and this is just to add rigidity for when it's in a press so it doesn't move on me. Now we're just moving on to the front sight and blocking that out. As you can see, it sticks up quite a ways, and if this isn't blocked out, we'll obviously not be able to pull our gun out of the holster. As you can see, it's made in such a way that it will fit through this contour, and then this piece here will hold against the sight. This piece in the back will hold against the back sight to hold it in place during the process of forming the kydex in the mold. Okay, so now I'm just sanding this down for a smooth finish, rounding corners, thinning this material here a little bit, so it'll have a little bit better tolerance after it's molded. So I just hold it on its side and bring it down. You see, this is 150 grit sandpaper on this light balsam wood, whatever it is. Just work it down like that, around radius the corners. All this is made of is some stuff I got from Hobby Lobby, 16th inch thick wood that I just glue together, laminate it together. All right, so now I'm working on a pattern for this area, and this will help with, I'm gonna do like 4 layers, maybe 3-4 layers of this plywood in this location. It'll create a little cavity in there, and then a screw will be put through there with a rubber bushing in between them, and that's what you'll tighten it or loosen it to to help with retention for this. The kydex will grab this pistol grip or the trigger guard, and maybe up in this area somewhere I'll probably put a screw there and a screw there. I'm not sure if both of them were needed, but I'll give it a shot. We're getting closer now, but as you can see, there's a lot of blocking that needs to be done in here, and I'm starting to understand why those holster manufacturers weren't all that interested in helping me out in making this. So this side of the gun will be against either my hip on my right side or against my pack on the right side. And the way the top of the holster, I'm thinking will come along this cylinder wall, because if it goes past it, then it's gonna get pressed and pushed around this edge, which will lock the gun in place. On the outside of the gun, it's fine if the edge of the holster is right here, I guess. But on the inside, I'd like to have a piece of the holster extend past so that it'll guard this hammer, so it's not digging into my side or whatever. Originally, I was going to use this piece to just extend the holster, kind of missing this sight, coming around and being back far enough, and then it would curve around and go around the trigger guard. That would at least give me a little bit of a shelf when I'm putting the gun in, where the holster on my hip side is a little longer, so it'll guide it in to the holster better. But then I was thinking, it should probably extend beyond that so that it maybe protects this hammer too from digging into my side or whatever else. So as you can see, by putting this, it's not long enough for one, but then also, how do I support this, right? So my next step, I think, is I'm going to make a longer piece for one. This will be the outer shell to make it nice and clean. But then I went and I took a 2x6 and I scribed that rough radius based off of this right here, which gives me kind of that. What I plan to do is just take my time, get this shaved nice and clean, and then I'll probably form another one of these that's wider so that it can set over this in the end, and this will just be a block that adds support. I'll have to carve it out inside to miss this, and then it'll be supported against everything and extend out, and then I can tape it on there and it'll be strong enough to be used in this press here. Basically, I just get it so it's flexible enough to make the radius without splitting, and then I rubber band it on there. Easy enough. Let it dry out while I'm doing other stuff, and then it actually holds its shape really well once it's dry. This next part was the hardest part, and it was trying to block out that cylinder. I used this block of wood here and my known radius of the cylinder and just played with it. I'd mark something off, I'd whittle it off, I'd put it up against the gun again, see how it fit, see where I needed to cut, just scribed another line on there with a pencil and started whittling away with knives and everything else that I could to try to get it to fit right. So this, I whittled out, it steps down right there, this is upside down. And then, so this piece right here, this part right here will sit on here. And this part where my finger is will sit down on there. And then what you see there for them that's marked out will clearance the cylinder release. And then, so now there'll be a void there once I cut this out, but I'm gonna sheet this to match this diameter. Now you just keep working it down and whittling away and clearancing it until it fits just right. Right now I have to bring it down some more because it's not fitting right. I mean, it fits decent, but it's about flush with this. It needs to be sunk down so that I can sheet it with that other piece that I'm working on drying up to make it nice and smooth. So this is pretty much all blocked in. I didn't end up radiusing or getting a picture of how I radius the end of this cylinder blocking, but I did smooth that off so that it would make for a nice mold off the end. Now that all the blocking has been done for this specific model, we move into the process of actually making the kydex holster or forming that holster. There are many videos online that will do a much better job of explaining all the different materials you want to get, what presses you could buy or how to make different presses, what materials you could use, many different things. And I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just going to go through some pictures here and show you what I did for this project. But the main intent was to try to help whoever might be interested for this specific gun to help block it out. If you want more detail on how to actually mold it or form the kydex and temperatures and everything, just do a quick YouTube search. You'll find plenty of information on that. But here it is, both sides formed up in rough form. There's lots of trimming that needs to be done, but as you can see, it fits really nice. You can see all the different contours and everything. It turned out great. I was very happy with the result. Well, I got a rough cut in, very rough. The border or the outer edges will all be final shaped eventually here, but I do have all the rivets in, and I also have the belt retention. Now these are quick release. Just flip these little spring loaded toggles and slip it into your pack, into the hip belt straps, or you can take it off quick and hook it to your belt on your pants. It fits nice. I still have a lot of cleaning up to do. As you can see, that black line is kind of my roughing out. I got a little bit of clearance issue with the rubber grip here. Just trying to make it nice and clean looking. Boy, it snaps in there really nice. I'm not sure I even need to put that retention button in there. I still might, but it snaps in there real nice. I really like how this cylinder extension worked out, especially how it's radius, so it won't dig into your side if you do have it on your hip or on your belt. Just everything's rough cut right now, but it's turning out really cool. All right, admittedly, probably not the smartest thing I've ever done, but I guess I don't recommend doing this. But when you don't got the right tools or you're looking for an easier way, I don't recommend this. But got my grinder and a vise, power button hit. I'm gonna plug it in to start it. I'm gonna use it to have two hands free to do a good grind along the edge. We'll see how this goes. Well, it worked great. I had tons of control. Made sure I did it on this side. This thing was rotating this way, so it was blowing all the material down. I mean, the backside looks nasty. I just gotta trim it off, but man, worked good. I was able to get this whole outer edge anyway. This inner stuff here, all this from here across to here, I'll have to do with a Dremel or something, but that worked excellent. Don't do it though. This is all cleaned up. I gotta go around the edge with my fingernail or with a knife to clean off any little extras, but I did go around with sandpaper. Try to round the edges a little bit. I probably could do a little bit better job, but this is like 99% shaped. This is the back. Quick release belt loops that are adjustable. That pin can be adjusted, can be moved. Adjust from a 1.5 inch belt to a 2-inch belt. They just clip shut. And they got this spring loaded thing. So you can take it on and off your pack or your belt real easy and quick. All right, just to show how it works, how nice it clips in. And that is not coming out. Now I plan to bend this holster like this is, so that it's more contour against your side or the pack. And to do this, put these back on here, put it in the holster. Put that back in there. And then these will get put in my vise. And they'll be clamped like that, one on either side. So like this. And then this will be used as a shield. And I'll just put a heat gun to it and then bend it over. What I plan to do here is bend it along that line or near it, maybe just inside of that or up from there. So what I'll do is I'll put it in the vise and make sure that those rivets are down pressed into this multi-layer of tin foil so that they don't heat up. And then I'll just run hopefully that gives enough heat. I'll run it on both sides until it softens up a little bit, and then I'll bend it over, hold it, let it harden up, and I should be good to go. Trying to do it the first way, I don't think it's gonna work out, so I made these just a little slot there where it'll warm up on both sides. This side's a little bigger, but oh well. Got about 6 layers or more of tin foil protecting the holster and the gun. I'm gonna use this torch from a distance. Hopefully just work it back and forth and hopefully bend it over. A little discoloration there, a little too hot right there. See a little shine, but did what I was after. I just gotta do this one. I got one of the bracket, or one of the belt loops on here. And the way this works is I have it set up. These are all evenly spaced. So there's 3 different settings you can put this on. This one right now is in the highest. So these 2 screws are in these 2 locations. If it rides too low on the pack, then I just shift it down 1. Maybe I need to shift it down again, but it's adjustable about maybe 1.25 inches of adjustment up and down. But I did end up getting these bent. Looking at the finished product, I'm very happy with how it turned out. I ended up getting these bends in here, which I was concerned about. Man, I can't wait to see it, hook it up to my pack, see how it works, but I didn't lose any retention ability after bending these. I did gloss this up a little bit. You can see I overheated it in this area a little bit when trying to bend that, but hopefully that'll wear in. It turned out really cool. Very happy with it.